I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Doing great.
Firstly, thank you for accepting my invitation and accepting to be on my show.
Absolutely. Looks like you got a great channel there, and hopefully the people enjoy what we have to say.
So I've gone through your profile and I came to know that you're from US and you are an author.
Correct. I'm the author of the book. It's called Move Over Shakespeare Tales from the Baron. This book is available everywhere online, all across the world where books are sold. So, anywhere in the world, if you type in, you go to Amazon or whichever book site you have in your country, and you type in Move Over Shakespeare Tales from the Baron, press enter, and my book should come up and it's available for purchase.
So before talking about it, can you please introduce yourself to my audience?
Oh, sure. My name is Billy J. Barnum. I live in Connecticut in the United States, which, if you don't know where that's at, that is right next to New York. And most people in the world have heard of New York and New York City, which, of course, New York City is world famous.
Awesome. So are you a full-time writer?
I do work another job. I just got done working my job before we got on the interview. Of course, um, do you write it all?
Yeah, I write in my blog.
Okay, so you know as well as I do that you can make money from writing, but you really have to have a lot of sales and a large audience to maintain a living from just writing. So most people that write at least do something else as well.
Okay, so is this your first book that you have published?
This is my first book.
So what is the idea behind this? What made you to write this?
Well, the poems in this, it's a poetry book, and the poems in this book have been put away for years and years. So basically, over the years, I've written poems, and um, when something comes to me, that's when I write it down. So I normally don't just sit down with a pad and pen or paper and say, I'm going to write a poem today. Normally, something pops in my head, and I got to run and I got to grab a notebook and a pen and I got to start writing it down before it leaves my mind. So over the years, I accumulated poems and I had stacks and stacks of poems put away. And, I used to go to parties or hang out with my friends, and I used to recite some of my poems to them. Say, hey, I made this new poem today. You want to hear it? And they go, sure. And I used to recite it to them. And they were just amazed and they just said, you didn't write that. I said, yeah, I wrote that. They go, no, you didn't. They said, there's no way you wrote that. I said, they said, you better do something with that. They said, you need to publish that. And I just put them in a drawer and put them away. And I remember what they said, but I procrastinated. I just had them put away. And then a couple years ago, I said, you know what? Let's just do it. And I just pulled them out the drawer, typed them up, submitted them for publishing, and I got accepted and I published them.
So when you started this, I mean, when you got your first poem in your mind.
Um, Probably was a teenager. I used to play guitar and I started a band and I used to write the songs for the band. So I didn't have any poetry then, but I was writing songs. But most people say that songs are like poems and vice versa. So you can actually take a poem, and if you make the right music, you could actually sing that poem and make it a song. You could. So I used to write songs, and then one day a poem just came to me, and I sat down, I wrote it down, and then I started writing poetry too.
Awesome. So how many poems that are there in this book and the poetry?
In this book, there are 72 poems. There are 120 pages in the book because some poems are longer than a page. Some poems are short enough to be on one page. So it all depends on the content of the poem, of course. Um, I mean, some poems could literally be 16 lines of poetry and could affect you as much as a whole 300-page book. So you can read that one short poem, and if there's enough content in that poem, it can affect you like you watched a whole movie on TV or you read a whole 300-page book in that one little page of poem.
So all those 72 poems are interconnected or separate topics.
They're all completely different. There's some sad ones in there that I have a lot of people that purchased my book that said I cried when I read a couple of your poems. There's a couple funny ones in there, like the last poem in the book. I've had people tell me that I just laughed my butt off. I couldn't stop laughing while I was reading it. There's serious poems. There's impactful poems. There's inspiring poems. So there's all different kinds of poems.
So all these are your experience.
They're basically all things that came to me. There are, of course, a few of the poems are real poems from real life. And then, of course, some of the other poems may be fiction where something came to me and I just wrote it down and they're made up. But the great thing about that is I leave that up to the reader to choose which poem is about real life, which poem did I make up.
So before writing poems, before publishing this book, you are a communicator and you are communicating with your vocal cord and uh, that's it. You are telling your thoughts to people. But now you are communicating with the words that are there in your book. So do you think that people are able to take your expression that you felt through the books, through the book that you published?
Yeah, definitely. I think so. There's poems in the book. The I don't want to give it all away, of course, but there's just way too much in the book to even give it all away. But I'll just give you an example. The first poem in the book is called "The Unforgotten Tale, Black Rose," and that poem means something different to everybody that reads it. So you'll read it, and by the end of the poem, you'll say, "I know what that's about." But then someone else will read it and they'll come up to you and say, it's not about that, it's about this. And you guys can have a debate about it now of what you think it means. But then you may read it again a week later for a second time, and then you start questioning yourself and say, maybe it doesn't mean what I thought it did. I think it means this now. And then you'll even read it a third time and you even think it means something different. So there a lot of the poems are puzzles. So most people, the way they describe it, and most of the poems in the book are profound. You know what profound means, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Most people describe it as profound because some of the poems are very deep. And when they get to the poem end, they just take a deep breath in after reading it because they can't believe what they just read. And I'm not bragging or anything, but this is what people tell me.
So who do you think are going to connect with the poems that you wrote?
Everybody. I've had teenagers that have read the poems. Believe it or not, I went to college 2 years ago, and I graduated from college. Um, and I've had professors in college that they bought my book because I wrote it right after I left college. Well, I published it right after I left college, and they know about it because they heard that I published it, and they bought copies. And to this day, they read some of these poems in their English class and stuff like. So I have a lot of friends that are teachers that have bought the book and read it to their students in school. So school age people, adults, it's everybody will connect with them.
So this is your first book. How is your experience writing the first one?
Uh, it was awesome. I mean, to get started was exciting, but it was a long process. And when I say long, I'm not talking about years and years, but it took about 10 months in total from start to finish, but it felt like 10 years. You know, when you start something and you're so anxious to get it out, you're writing something for your blog and you know it's really good, so you can't wait to put it on there. And then there's some type of delay and it feels like forever. But then you finally get it on there and you just let out a sigh of relief. It took about 10 minutes, 10 months to get the book out, but it felt like 10 years. But it was, it was a good process. But some of the words the editors wanted to change, and then I had to go back and override them because there's certain words in certain poems that they cannot be changed. They have to be there for the meaning of the poem. They have to stay exactly the way I wrote them.
How many words are there?
How many words in the book?
Yeah.
I think it's probably like 12,000.
Okay. So you're saying that different poems create different emotions.
Oh yeah, there's it's a roller coaster ride. So you're gonna and they're not all in order either. So basically, you're gonna read a really epic poem that is gonna you're gonna think that you're traveling to the moon. You're gonna think that your spaceship is malfunctioning and you're falling to Earth. And then you're gonna read the next poem and you're gonna be at the circus and you're gonna be with clowns. And then you're gonna see a sad clown and the sad clown's gonna start crying and you're gonna feel like you want to cry reading about it. So there's a whole range of poems in there that it's not all about one thing. Everything means something different.
So what are the responses that you got?
Well, have you had a chance before we spoke to take a look at my reviews on Amazon?
Yeah, I have seen couple of reviews.
Yeah, there's all 5-star reviews on there. I mean, the feedback, of course, has been as simple as it's a great book. I recommend it. And then there's elaborate ones on there that say the best book I ever read in my life. Please pick up this book if you love to read. And that's the thing about the poetry book is sometimes I ask people, I say, do you like poetry? And they'll say, not really. And that's fine. But even people that don't like poetry will love this book because it's each poem is a story. And every book that you read, if you're reading a big thick book that's 400 pages long, it's a big story. So even though it's not a poem, if you read one of these poems, like I said, and it's taking you on a journey, it's a story as well. So even people that don't like poetry still like the book. So that's why you ever hear the phrase never judge a book by its cover? You can't, even if they say I don't like poetry, they might read it and say, you know what, I didn't think I liked poetry, but that was pretty good.
So at last, do you want to say anything to my audience?
Oh sure. I'd like to say if any of you guys want to send me any type of email, any feedback regarding this awesome session and video that we're doing together, you can send it to moveovershakespeare@hotmail.com. So it's the beginning of the book, Move Over Shakespeare, and then it's at hotmail.com. Like I said, the book is called Move Over Shakespeare Tales from the Baron. It's available worldwide, everywhere books are sold. I've sold a lot of books recently in the UK, which is awesome. There's a lot of people in the UK that have been buying my book like crazy in the last few months. I've sold books in Switzerland, Australia, United States, obviously where I'm from, lots and lots of books. So I'd like to say if you do like poetry, check out the book. And of course, the way me and you met was on Twitter. If anybody wants to follow me at Twitter, my My what's it called? My Twitter name is Poetryman551. Poetryman551. That's my Twitter handle. So if you guys want to follow me, check it out. I'll be more than happy to add you on to my account as a friend as well if you add me.
So if you send me all your links, your book link and your Twitter link, all your links, I'll put in the description of this video. People who finds our video on YouTube can find your book direct links and they can buy your book
Sure, I'll
and they
send
can
everything
connect
to you.
you.
Yep.
So at last, have you seen any videos of mine on YouTube and what do you say about it?
Yeah, I was watching one this morning. The guy in the military you were speaking with, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was good. You do good on there, and I got a feeling your page is going to go up, up, up.
So I actually do videos with different country people who are into different professions and I just talk and tell the work that they do. So, as an author, as a first-time author, as an observer, as a writer, what do you say about my work? Me talking with different country people and who are into different professions. What do you think that I learn and that people who watch my videos can learn?
Well, definitely, I think that they can learn that, of course, no matter where you're from, you might think you're very different, but after they watch your interviews with people from different places, they can see that we're actually a lot the same. So you might think we're all different, but we're definitely more not different than we are different. We are more of the same.
So, thank you very much for giving me opportunity to talk with you and tell about the work that you do to my audience and to the world.
Absolutely, I appreciate it. And I don't know, I didn't mention it, but I don't know if you know. Have you ever heard of P.T. Barnum, the greatest showman on earth?
Yeah,
You have.
yeah.
I'm related to him. That's how I got the last name Barnum.
Wow.
He's my direct descendant.
Wow, that's great.
I've done radio interviews all over Connecticut, and I do radio shows, book signings, and that's what they all asked me about. Am I related to P.T. Barnum? And he was my second great grandfather, P.T. Barnum. Phineas Taylor Barnum, the greatest showman on earth. If you've ever heard of that movie that just came out recently, The Greatest Showman with Hugh Jackman, have you heard of that?
I've seen
That
it in the internet.
that's my grandfather. That guy's playing. That's that's who that is. He's
Wow,
playing. He's playing my family.
wow, that's a great news.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So
So
anybody that would like to pick up a copy of this book, Move Over Shakespeare, Tales from the Baron, from a direct descendant of Phineas Taylor Barnum, the greatest showman on earth, get a copy.
thank you very much, sir, for giving me your valuable time and telling about the work that you do and about the book that you have published. And can I put this video on my YouTube channel with your permission?
Absolutely. And I'm going to subscribe to your channel. I'm going to send you all the links so everyone can click on the links if they want to get a copy.
Yeah, and also can I put this audio and video clip on my social media, internet, podcast, website, everywhere with your permission?
Yeah, you can put it everywhere because, of course, we're spreading the word for you, for your show. And of course, we're spreading the word for me as well, which is awesome.
Awesome. So I hope you'll come with more books in coming days. I'm sure it will reach like the successful book that you wrote today.
Yeah, I'm hoping to have book number 2 out next year, hopefully. So keep an eye out for my second book. And of course, my goal on this book is to sell 1 million copies or more. So everybody I speak with, every interview I do is a stepping stone to get me to where I want to be.
I'll take your interview again, sir, when the second book is out.
All right, I'll talk to you then.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Take care.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye bye.